In part 6 and the final segment of the switching series of videos, we will look at the difference between standard or flat yards and hump yards. Both types of yards are referred to as either classification or marshalling yards, as they both provide the same function of making up trains and routing the railway cars to their next shipper or receiver. Basically, a standard or flat yard is as it sounds. It's a relatively level area switched by a single or multiple yard switchers depending on the size. A hump yard has a hill that the switcher pushes the cars up and over, and the cars are then directed into various tracks. Now let's get into some more detail with examples. As I noted above, the standard yard is quite basic. It can be double-ended or a stub end. The advantage of a double-ended yard is that trains can easily enter and exit from either end. In this overhead view of the Canadian National Yard in Hamilton, Ontario, you can see that it is a double-ended yard. Trains can enter or exit the yard from the west or east ends. Hump yards are a more automated way of sorting or classifying rail cars. The yard engines push the cars over the hill and they coast to be sorted. Hump yards date back to either the late 1800s or the early 1900s, but the early yards had issues with the cars colliding at too high a speed and damaging the cargo. Technology such as retarders, basically pads that squeeze the wheels to the rail to slow the cars down, have helped prevent and or reduce cargo damage as well as to the cars themselves. Computers have also made the sorting process much more automated. The 1950s and 60s saw a large surge in the building of these yards, especially in the US and Canada. Two examples of large hump yards in Canada are Toronto Macmillan Yard, seen here, and Canada's largest yard, Symington Yard in Winnipeg. In recent years, there has been a decline in hump yards. There is less loose car freight than there used to be due to the increase in intermodal freight traffic and the use of more unit trains. As an example, Canadian Pacific converted their hump yards in Toronto Agincourt and a lift yard in Calgary to standard yards. That concludes the series on switching. I hope you found these segments both informative and interesting. For other sources, I have included links to YouTube videos on standard or flat switching and hump yards. Thank you for watching another video in my Railways in a Nutshell series focused on educating people on railway subject matter. If you like this video and are interested in seeing more of this type of content, please subscribe to my channel. Also, if you have suggestions for other railway topics, feel free to send them to me.